organization want to make sure that we're investing in the mill first. So what we've been doing is we're taking the money that we do make at the mill and we're turning around and reinvesting it in the facility.
Gallo wants the employees to know he believes the mill will be here for a long time. He says Kruger is studying biofuel options and will keep looking at them until the end of the summer, when the deal is up. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
The federal environment minister has signed a memorandum of understanding to sell hydrogen produced in Newfoundland and Labrador to Germany. Jonathan Wilkinson was in Hamburg today, where he signed the agreement with Germany's Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck. Work on the MOU started in 2022 when German Chancellor Olaf Scholz met Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Stephenville, the site of a proposed hydrogen to ammonia megaproject. World Energy GH2 wants to build hundreds of wind turbines on the Port-au-Port Peninsula to power a plant in Stephenville. Last month, Ottawa announced it was lending the company $128 million, but the project has not passed its environmental approval stage. Wilkinson says this MOU does not contradict that. He says it provides the economic framework if the project is approved.
It creates the architecture, but of course, in order to pursue that, any of these projects have to move through the environmental assessment process. There's no, get out of jail free card in terms of moving through that process. They need to ensure that they can satisfy any environmental concerns that are being raised. And so this has no bearing on the environmental assessment process. I used to be the environment minister for Canada. It is very important that we have integrity in the environmental assessments, and companies just need to work their way through that.
Well, the provincial government will present its latest budget on Wednesday, and advocates would like to see some ambitious spending to tackle the housing crisis. Meanwhile, municipalities want support to make it easier to build more homes. Heather Gillis reports.
When tents popped up on Confederation Hill last fall, it turned housing and homelessness in this province into a visible, hot-button issue. One that housing advocate Doug Pawson says needs ambitious investments in Wednesday's provincial budget.
Last year we saw commitments of 850 units to be built, but we know year over year we need more than 1,500 just in St. John's alone to meet targets, projected targets by 2028. So the doubling of that would be very ambitious.
Pawson says a new dedicated housing minister is a good start, but thinks the new standalone portfolio needs a mandate broader than just responsibility for the Newfoundland and Labrador Housing Corporation.
And it's got to be really unlocking capital from the federal government and building capacity with municipal governments so that they can take on ownership and responsibility and accountability for their own investments into housing.
Our communities can't grow if people don't have places to live.
Housing also on the mind of municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador President Amy Cody. The organization and Choices for Youth just released an affordable housing report. It shows a big wait list, 120 to 130 families for Newfoundland housing in both Gander and Corner Brook. The report also says there's a big deficit of affordable 1- and 2-bedroom rentals across the province, and that high heat costs for oil push many seniors into energy poverty. Cody says it costs a lot to provide services needed for housing, from water and sewer to streets and parks.
The approximate cost to extend infrastructure for just one housing unit is $107,000. So that is a ton of money.
Cody says municipalities also have a role in making it easier to build homes.
We need to start looking at our communities, identifying land for development, looking at our policies and procedures. Are there adjustments that we can make that takes away some of what could be considered difficulties in applying for land? There may be some restrictions for allowing certain types of housing to go up within certain areas. So rezoning is a big thing.
Cody also wants to see more money for things like firefighting services and training for town councillors, while Pawson is eyeing better standards for private emergency homeless shelters. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, there's now a by-election date for the Fogo Island Cape Friels district. It comes in the wake of the death of the MHA for the area, Derek Bragg. Election day will be Monday, April 15th, and the advanced polling day will be April 8th. The Office of the Chief Electoral Officer says the deadline for candidate nominations is next Monday at 2 p.m.
Oh, it was a pretty nice day yesterday across the province. Temperatures have dropped a little bit today. We're down anywhere from about 2 to 5 degrees across the board. A little warmer, in fact, along the south coast of the island. Up across Labrador, temperatures are generally sitting where you were yesterday. But we do have this area of low pressure. That colder air brought some snow today for parts of the province, thanks to a little front that has moved through. That snow has since ended for most of us, and it's going to be a bit unsettled over the next couple of days for sure, with the chance of some showers or flurries in the mix. But our temperatures today, we're topping out anywhere from about 0 to 2 degrees, maybe a little bit cooler than that through areas of Central and Lab West. But for the most part, we are going to see these temperatures hovering around the 0 degree mark, maybe even a little bit above, continuing through the week. Then we watch a cold pocket of air move in across Labrador, and that will really take shape and take hold really as we head towards the weekend, as some of that colder Arctic air will move in for the west. We'll talk all about the forecast when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. One of this province's last remaining Second World War veterans hit a rare birthday milestone this past weekend. The man known around Spaniards Bay as Uncle Johnny Pauls turned 100 on Saturday. As Terry Roberts reports, Uncle Johnny was in fine spirits as dozens gathered to celebrate his long and eventful life.
Here's the man of the hour, looking sharp in his Legion blazer and his chest full of medals. 100 years of living under these feet, and many of those on the water as a sailor. No ordinary life.
That's courage. You know, when you're up to 100 years old and you're still on your mobile and come to your celebration on your 100th birthday with all your comrades and that, you gotta have a heart.
His full name, William John Pauls. He's a product of the isolated community of Roncontra East.
He's like a second father to me, and I love him dearly.
But Spaniards Bay has long been his home. He's been a key player with the Royal Canadian Legion for nearly 80 years. Still attends weekly meetings, visits almost daily for a few beers and a chat, and still has plenty of influence.
Anytime I need anything, with the presidency, I'll ask Uncle Johnny.
And among this crowd, he's adored and respected.
For 5 years as being president, I think this is going to be one of the nicest things that I've done as president.
He's just part of the family, so we're going to treat him good tonight.
Johnny turning 100 is a big milestone. He's the rock of this Legion. He always has been.
He is as astute and as cunning and as funny as any young man could be at any age.
This is a young Johnny Pauls, a merchant mariner. And here's what he had to say 4 years ago about his wartime experience.
I saw the destruction of most of part of Germany and Belgium, Holland, England, Yugoslavia, Greece, Gibraltar. It was terrible over there for the first couple of years.
It's hard to know how many Second World War vets are left, but of the 22,000 from Newfoundland and Labrador who served, Uncle Johnny is among the last. So that's reason to celebrate at this Legion.
If we would have opened up this tonight, we would have probably had 400 or 500 people. We had people calling for tickets. We couldn't do it because we just couldn't handle it.
I'm surprised, really, because I didn't expect all this.
With all this happening, Uncle Johnny is a man of few words, not one to make a fuss or seek out the spotlight.
Happy birthday to you.
No avoiding it here when you're the center of attention for 130 people.
Happy birthday, Uncle Johnny. Happy birthday to you.
100 years ago, Johnny Pauls took his first breath. Saturday night, he took in another big one and blew out some candles to celebrate a century. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Spaniards Bay.
So here's a question for you. How many Second World War veterans are still alive in this province? Well, Terry is searching for an answer to that question, so we're asking you, our audience, do you know of a Second World War veteran in your community? Let Terry know by writing to the email address there on your screen. Well, now to some sports news. Gonzaga now has the bragging rights of being the best team in girls high school basketball in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Gonzaga Vikings are the 2024 4A Women's Champions.
And with that, the Gonzaga Vikings won the 4A provincial title at Memorial University on Sunday. The Vikings defeated the Waterford Valley Warriors 59-19, which halted the hopes of a Warriors three-peat as provincial champs. Well, from Memorial University to the Mary Brown Centre, where the Newfoundland Rogues came up big, sweeping a 3-game series against the Albany Patroons.
Fu on the ball, up, layup, and one for Daniel Fu!
The Rogues had a score to settle with Albany after the Patroons ended the Rogues' playoff run last year, and they sent the team back to the state of New York with 3 straight wins. On Saturday night, the Rogues won 116-94. Omega Harris and William Brown led the team with 17 points each. The 3 wins put the Rogues' record at 12 wins and 7 losses and leaves the team in 3rd place in the Basketball Super League. A multicultural event in St. John's turned 24 this past weekend. Sharing Our Cultures invites visitors to learn about the diverse cultural backgrounds of international students at MUN. It highlights language, arts, and craft. Have a look.
It means that they could be recognized. Because I think at the beginning when we started Sharing Our Cultures, a lot of young people come from different parts of the world, but they're always learning the local culture. They have to learn English. They have to learn how to use the banking system. They've got to learn how to get a bus. So they're always learning what's about here, but they never get to actually showcase what's about them and their culture.
St. John's is a very diverse place, yes, but I never felt like, I never went up to somebody and went like, are you Innu? I'm Innu, stuff like that. I never could relate to anybody on that. I always felt so alone. I felt like there was no representation on my culture. And every chance I got, I always spoke about it. When I heard that we were gonna get to do our first year here, I was absolutely excited. I'm so happy about it.
Well, tomorrow evening marks this year's spring equinox, and that happens to line up with a celebration called Nowruz, also known as Iranian New Year. Here's the MUN Iranian Students Association explaining the holiday and the sold-out party they're throwing in St. John's.
I want to know what's Nowruz. Nowruz is combination of 2 words, no and ruz. So no means new and ruz means day. So what happens is that so once the winter is done, you're going to spring, and then it's just a new day for the nature and for the people.
It's a very significant holiday for Iranians. It's been around for ages, since the Zoroastrian times. It's kind of a cultural, but also was sort of a religious event for us. It's a time where families get together. We celebrate using various kind of symbolic activities that we would love to share with you soon. So yeah, it's a great time. It's family time and very cozy.
Give us a sense of the size of the Iranian community right now, because by the looks of it, you're preparing for a big party this week.
Yeah, I mean, the Iranian community is very large. Our Facebook group for Iranians in Newfoundland has well over 1,000 members. One of the largest student populations at MUN is Iranian students. It's also important to note that Nowruz is not a purely Iranian holiday. In fact, large parts of Afghanistan, Tajikistan, even in Mongolia, a lot of Central Asia celebrate Nowruz. So it's not just for Iranians, but there's a massive population of people that celebrate Nowruz.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Well, coming up, finding balance and inner peace. In Gander, that's not just something for adults. We checked out a baby yoga class.
Well, we have a few flurries, some showers on the way over the next couple of days. I'll talk about the full forecast when I come back in a few minutes.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. The bonus prize deadline is midnight, Friday, April 12th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Time for a look at the weather. And Ashley, I can't believe it. Spring is almost here.
It is. It's almost here. We've got another day to get through, but let's take a look at what time it officially arrives tomorrow afternoon. We will see, or sorry, tomorrow evening, I should say, late tomorrow, really at about 12:36 in the morning, Newfoundland time for your March 20th. So that'll be nice. Our sunrise will be at 7:14 in the morning, and our sunset will be at 7:26 p.m. So certainly feeling, not very spring-like out there. I can tell you, though, with the snow melting fairly quickly, we definitely tell that we're in March. But our temperatures are a little bit below where we should be sitting this time of year. In fact, we should be sitting around 3 degrees in St. John's. We hovered around 0 for most of the afternoon today, -1 in Gander. 3 degrees right on target for Stephenville. And for Labrador, your temperatures were hovering anywhere from about -4 in Nain to about +1 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and Cartwright today. So the winds were it was windy this afternoon. Certainly for the Rec House area, 119 km/h winds was the top speed this morning, and topped out at about 78 km/h in St. John. So those winds have since eased a little bit lower now. Definitely for the west coast, so those wind warnings have ended. Still gusting around 54 km/h in St. John, 70 in Bonavista, and up across the northern peninsula, about 46 km/h for St. Anthony at the moment. So we do have a bit of a wind chill, feeling more like -9, more like -7 in St. John's right now as well, and Nain at about -10 with that wind chill. So if we take a look at what's going on right now, most of us have seen that snow end in the east, but we're still seeing some flurries and light snow for the west coast. Very, very wet, though, really having a hard time accumulating. Again, the pavement is quite warm this time of year. That sun angle really helps. Even though it's not sunny, we're definitely still seeing the conditions very spring-like as far as that snow is concerned. So as you can see, not a whole lot going on, but as we head through tonight, we're going to continue to see that snow for the northern peninsula and coastal areas of Labrador. That's where we should see the majority of the snow through the overnight and into tomorrow, because this area of low pressure is going to keep that onshore flow for those of you along the coast, and the snow is going to continue through tomorrow morning. We'll likely see some flurry activity continue for the west coast as well. Further east, though, maybe some flurries overnight, but for the most part, the majority of that snow is done. Tonight, our temperatures are going to be hovering around 0 or a little bit below. Labrador, you're still looking at your temperatures into the -single digits as well. Winds not overly impressive, though, out of the north or northeast, anywhere from 20 to 40 km/h, but that's about it. As we head into tomorrow, again, coastal areas of Labrador still seeing those periods of snow, and they'll extend through central Labrador as well. Still going to look at that chance of some flurries, maybe some showers in the mix. Temperatures are going to be a little bit warm tomorrow, so what does fall will either fall as a wet snow or drizzle altogether. By the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, some peaks of sun certainly possible for central and eastern areas of the island, and then eventually the snow will sink further south for Labrador, so back again for the northern peninsula as we head into the evening hours and early morning hours on Wednesday. Otherwise, we should start the day a little sunny on our first day of spring for some areas. So as far as snowfall amounts go, nothing super significant except for southeastern portions of Labrador and maybe in the Long Range Mountains as well. Higher elevations for sure, showing quite a bit of snow there, but I'm saying somewhere between maybe 10 to 15 will be max for those of you in southeastern Labrador. Otherwise, you're looking at about 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. Temperatures tomorrow, like I said, are going to be quite mild, 3 to 5 degrees through the day. A little cooler, though, for the west coast, anywhere from about 1 to 2. That'll keep your flurries on tap with southwesterly winds anywhere from 20 to 40 km/h. Most of Labrador, though, you're looking at your temperatures hovering near or just above 0, a little bit below 0 as you head towards the west. Like I said, some cool air is coming in. I'll talk about that when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, it's a new way for new moms and their babies to get some exercise and find some inner peace. It's called baby yoga, and it's catching on in Gander, where instructor Zoe Granville has been leading classes at the town library.
My name's Zoe Granville, and I teach baby yoga and developmental baby massage. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round. Well, I trained first of all in developmental baby massage about 14 years ago when I lived in London. It was part of the role I was in at the time, mainly doing one-to-one sessions with mums that were struggling with postpartum depression, but I also did groups. And then when I moved here, there was nothing like that here, and I really wanted to do it. Yeah, that's it. And then you're going to let yourself slowly fall back. And then the yoga came about when a group of the mums that I've been doing the massage with were saying to me, well, what are you going to do next? They'd done the class twice. And I said, well, this is it. And they said, well, there's got to be something else you can do. So I was like, well, there is baby yoga. That is the most relaxed I've ever seen a baby in that room. So with the baby yoga, you find now the babies are starting to move around. So once they start to move around, their joints start to tighten up and their muscles are getting tighter as they're getting stronger as well. It helps to loosen up the joints, keep them nice and supple, which stretches out the muscles that are being used a lot.
I'm Robin Stead, and this is Ellis, my son. He's 5 months old.
Yoga, baby, I love this.
Well, it's just a good place to start, honestly, like postpartum, you know, like you don't want to get back into things too quickly. So it's a good kind of place for, you know, strengthening your, you know, getting back into like a routine yourself. And it's nice to include baby and, yeah, get out and see other moms and, you know, socialize.
Red and green and yellow and blue.
And what do you get out of this?
I just love babies. Never gets old. Like seeing the joy on parents' faces when they see their children achieve a milestone. Seeing the babies' faces sometimes like, yay, I just did it, you know. I get just as excited 20 odd years ago as I do today.
It's time to say goodbye.
There's no, get out of jail free card in terms of moving through that process. They need to ensure that they can satisfy any environmental concerns that are being raised.
Well, coming up, the federal minister says a new deal with Germany doesn't mean companies like World Energy GH2 will automatically get approval for their hydrogen megaprojects. Well, a big step forward for the proposed wind to hydrogen to ammonia mega project on the province's west coast. Today, Canada and Germany signed a memorandum of understanding about the sale of hydrogen and ammonia from this province in Nova Scotia to Germany. Now, this news comes as World Energy GH2's multi-billion-dollar mega project is still awaiting approval under the province's environmental assessment program. Federal Energy and Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson is in Hamburg and joins us now. Thank you so much for being here. So can you explain what the difference is between this memorandum of understanding and the agreement that Trudeau signed with the German Chancellor about a year and a half ago?
Sure. This follows from that agreement where we said that we would work together to help to create a hydrogen opportunity for Canada that would supply Germany to help Germany fight climate change, but also to help Germany with energy security issues. This memorandum of understanding is a commitment to effectively a window under which we will actually run auctions for hydrogen produced in Canada and with producers or with consumers of hydrogen, industrial consumers of hydrogen in Germany, that will establish what gap there exists between what people are willing to pay and what people are going to produce this for. This is an early market. Obviously, there is a role for governments to play in ensuring that the early market is successful, and that then we look at continuing cost reductions in the industry as it matures. And so we made a commitment today to work with Germany on financial instruments where Germany and Canada would work together to ensure that we're actually helping to cover some of the gap that will enable the first contracts to move ahead and ultimately then to build a big, vibrant and robust business.
What does this trade deal mean for Newfoundland and Labrador specifically?
Newfoundland and Labrador has, great wind resources. Anybody who's been to Newfoundland and Labrador knows how great the wind resources are there. This offers the opportunity for many thousands of jobs during the construction phase and then during ongoing operations. It is not just one project. There are a number of different projects that people are looking to pursue in Newfoundland and Labrador. So some of the economic opportunities that will be enabled through this transition we must go through to a lower carbon future. And it's really good news for the province.
Mm-hmm. Now, World Energy GH2's project hasn't been approved yet. It's still going through the environmental assessment process. And you've signed this MOU with Germany. The federal government has also given the company a $128 million loan, all before it's even been given approval. In light of that, why should people have faith in the assessment process?
What we put into place here is basically the architecture. In the next 3 months, we will have all the mechanics worked out that creates the certainty around pricing that would enable proponents to work with companies in Germany that would actually use the hydrogen to enter into offtake agreements that would then allow the producers in Newfoundland and Labrador to make the massive investments that they would need to make. So it creates the architecture. But of course, in order to pursue that, any of these projects have to move through the environmental assessment process. There's no, get out of jail free card in terms of moving through that process. They need to ensure that they can satisfy any environmental concerns that are being raised. And so this has no bearing on the environmental assessment process. I used to be the Environment Minister for Canada. It is very important that we have integrity in the environmental assessments, and companies just need to work their way through that and address concerns that are raised.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if the project is not approved?
Well, so I would say the way in which environmental assessments work, which I think a lot of people do not fully appreciate, is it is about trying to find pathways to yes. It doesn't always work, but pathways to yes, which means there are times where projects have to go back and redo things or actually reflect on how they've actually proposed to implement them in order to mitigate or to eliminate any impacts that are detrimental to the environment. It's only if you cannot do that projects then are outright rejected. But if a project is rejected because the environmental impacts are significant, then the project obviously couldn't proceed.
So you're moving ahead with this agreement before the industry is really developed in Atlantic Canada. Ottawa has said that it wants to start exporting hydrogen by 2025. That's next year. Why such a tight timeline?
Well, the end of 2025 was an aspirational goal from a timeline perspective that Prime Minister Trudeau and Chancellor Schultz agreed to when we were in Stephenville about 2 years ago. It was intended to drive action and activity, and it has done that. The end of 2025 is pretty ambitious. It remains the aspirational goals, but it may well be in 2026 when we actually start to see hydrogen moving forward.
So would you say 2026 is a more realistic timeline?
It probably is more realistic, but I'm always ambitious, and I think that ambitious goals actually force progress. So I would say aspirationally the end of 25, but it may well be 2026.
Why does Germany need Canada to make hydrogen for them? Why don't they just build their own wind to hydrogen projects?
Well, Germany will be supplying some of its own hydrogen, but the scale of the requirement that they need, I mean, just so folks are clear, like the initial applications that they will be using hydrogen for are to displace the use of natural gas in many industrial processes. And of course, Germany has a very large industrial base. That is in order for Germany to be able to fight climate change and meet its climate targets. It is very important that they actually have access to hydrogen from friendly countries. That's not just Canada. I mean, certainly there are other countries that are interested in supplying hydrogen to Germany and other parts of the European Union as well. But Germany simply cannot create enough hydrogen to satisfy its own demands. And so it looks to countries like Canada. And I would say Canada is a supplier of choice to Germany because we have a long established relationship of trust and friendship. And they are very, very keen to see Canada be one of the suppliers for the needs that they have going forward.
Well, Minister Jonathan Wilkinson, thank you so much for this. Really appreciate your time.
Not at all. Thank you very much.
It tastes like home.
It smells so good. When we return, we'll have the first part of our series, Dish It Out. 3 people make the same dish and rate whose version is best. First up for judging, a popular dish from Taiwan.
Hey there, I'm Nicole, and this is Dish It Out, a show where 3 people from the same place prepare the same dish. They'll taste it, talk about it, and rate it, with one person winning bragging rights and the coveted sparkling spoon. Today, we're trying a popular Taiwanese dish, lo ba bung, made with ground pork and rice. Let's meet our amazing competitors who are facing off today.
My name is Lee. I'm from Taiwan. I cook this dish because this dish reminds me my childhood and my parents and all my relatives back home.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I came from Taiwan. I love to cook because I failed my chemistry in school, so I think cooking is the best implementation of making chemistry become real.
Hi, I'm Su Hao Shu, or Xu Zihao if you speak Mandarin. I'm also from Taiwan, and I love lo ba bung because it's one of the cornerstone memories of my childhood. I used to crouch on the floor with my grandmother eating her lo ba bung. Oh yeah, and full disclosure, Zoe is my, we'll call it, older sister from the community, and also the lady over there on the other side of it is actually my mom. So I'm between a pro and my mom. I'm a rock and a hard place, and I'm here for the challenge.
I've actually never tried lo ba bung. Can you tell me a bit about why it's so popular?
I think it's popular because it's very accessible and it's an every man's dish. Before Taiwan had its economic development, you're not necessarily every family could afford a full piece of meat. So the moms or whoever cooks for the family would go to the meat stalls and ask for like the bits off of the main cuts. So you'd have your skins, your sinews and bones, and then they take it home and cook it up with a little bit of shallots and garlic and a dash of soy sauce to kind of add it up. So it's a very street and community oriented dish that's now been elevated to sort of like fine cuisine depending on where you go. So it's very accessible and it's delicious.
So are you ready to eat?
I haven't eaten for 3 days. Come on!
Lee, your dish is first.
Okay, yeah. So, ooh. Whoa. My dish is special because I cook it with all my love and my heart. I don't put any like artificial spice or anything, just soy sauce, fried onion, garlic, pork, ground pork. Yeah, a little bit brown sugar, that's all. Yeah.
Zoe, I see you shaking your head. What do you love about it?
It tastes like home.
Smells so good. I hope everybody likes it.
This is not enough. I need more.
And has your recipe evolved or changed over the past couple years?
One day I tried different, and my 2 kids said, "Mommy, that's not too good. You must be cooking the wrong thing."
Suha, do you remember insulting your mom's dish?
Yes, and it's not just this one. We might have made that blunder a few times when we were growing up. So I have since learned my lesson, but at the end of the day, it all comes from her kitchen. It all comes with love. So
okay,
yeah.
Thank you. All right, next up is Zoe.
This is my creation today. Whoa. Today, I twist my recipe a little bit. This is actually gluten-free version because we use a lot of soy sauce, which some people have difficulty with. So I'm trying to work on a recipe that develop another route that make more people can enjoy Taiwanese or Chinese food. The city I came from has a very famous lo ba bung booth, that's what I call it, in a night market. And there are two booths, and one served with pickled cucumber, another one served with pickled vegetable, just to tell the difference. When I discovered they both work for me, so when I am making it, I just make both. I don't care.
You can tell this is done by a pro. I mean, the presentation is great. Even, the garnishes and the side dishes are great. And a lot of the food back in Taiwan, there's a concept of food is part medicine. I think there's spices in here, so it differentiates the smell and the taste from my mom's dish. And I mean, the texture is great. There's a really nice cut of lean and fat food in here, plus the cucumber and the mustard pickles to kind of like break up the texture and kind of refresh the palate. It's delicious.
Lee, what do you think? All right, next up we have Sue Howe.
Ta-da!
Thank you. So it's a little more simple compared to the presentation and taste of the other two dishes, but it's, you know, I'm working on it. So, okay, all right. Listen, there's enough for everybody. You don't have to fight.
Lee, do you like your donuts better or?
Oh, much better than before.
I'm improving. I'll take that.
Oh, she's improving a lot now.
All right.
What kind of rice do you use?
Oh, mine is a jasmine rice.
Jasmine rice?
Jasmine rice.
Two of us were using jasmine rice.
I use the short grain sushi.
Yeah.
I picked that because my husband prefers a slightly sweeter flavor in the food. So I think that kind of influenced in how my recipe would have evolved. And my kids prefer this flavor as well. Now, that's not to say when they go over to grandma's, they'll say, Mommy, grandma makes better brown eggs. That is fine by me.
So you mentioned your kids, so is this a recipe that you'd be passing down?
I mean, they've expressed a lot of interest in food from different cultures, and in particular Taiwanese ones. So they are biracial. My husband is a Newfoundlander. So I'm really excited to pass on this recipe to see how it evolves. You know, they are the product of two really cool islands mashed together, and one is here in North Atlantic, the other one's over in closer to the South Pacific. And you know, there's lots of people that love them, and this is one way in which we can show that from generation to generation.
We've talked, we've tasted, and now it's time to rate. Please rate each dish out of 10. And the winner is, drum roll please, everyone! To share the sparkling spoon.
Well, after a volcanic eruption in Iceland Saturday, flowing lava started slowing down yesterday. It was the volcano's fourth eruption since December. Scientists say the volume of lava, another volcanic material, was higher than the last eruption, but man-made barriers appeared to be holding, protecting infrastructure and a small fishing town nearby. Two of the previous events forced it to evacuate. Authorities had been warning for several weeks that a new eruption was expected. Well, in Russia, Vladimir Putin won the presidential election by a landslide yesterday. Putin won by about 87% of the vote, the highest result ever in Russia's post-Soviet history. Yesterday, Putin thanked supporters for their trust. Election officials put turnaround at around 75%. The U.S., Britain, and Germany all denounced the vote as neither free nor fair. Putin opponents went ahead with a protest yesterday, arriving en masse at polling stations. It's unclear how many were actual protesters, but lineups in the hundreds were reported at some stations. Okay, so time for a look at the long-range forecast. We saw some snow in St. John's today. How are things looking later on in the week?
Yeah, we picked up a couple centimeters, really, really wet snow out there in most cases. A little bit more of that on the way. Okay. Through the next couple days. Let's take a look at what's going on weather-wise. So Tuesday evening into Wednesday, that area of low pressure will head to, well, really we've got an area of low pressure that's going to affect us for the next couple of days. But this one, our temperature is going to be a tad warmer. So still looking at the potential for some wet snow or light flurries as we head through the morning hours on Wednesday. It'll really just be central and the western half of the island. We should actually see some sunshine in the east through most of the day on Wednesday. Labrador, fairly quiet weather as well. Some flurries will roll through, but we've got that northerly flow. So temperatures will be hovering around the 0 degree mark. Really not seeing a whole lot of movement in the temperatures for you, at least through this week. We've got a temperature around -3 in Nain, 1 degree in Happy Valley Goose Bay. And then as far as the island is concerned, temperatures will be between 1 and about 4 degrees, again, topping off through central, and we should see some sunshine, so that will be nice. But again, most of that snow will be towards the west. As we head into the evening hours on Wednesday, that snow will eventually taper off, but then we've got our next round of weather moving in. This one looking like we'll see some snow to start early Thursday morning for the eastern half of the island. That will quickly change to rain and spread north as we head through the evening hours on Thursday for the island. So generally, like I said, we'll see that transition. We may pick up a couple of centimeters before we see that, but temperatures are really going to warm up on Thursday. And then we'll see that snow head towards southeastern portions of Labrador. So we're looking again at those daytime highs anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees across the island. Higher elevations will likely see that snow. Northern Peninsula, you'll hover around +1, and southeastern Labrador will hover into the minus single digits through the day on Thursday. The rest of the Big Land, you are going to see your flurries, but they won't be until the overnight for central Labrador, and northern portions of Labrador will sit this one out. You'll hover around -6 through the day. The long-range forecast still showing temperatures above 0. Our overnight lows really not dipping too much into the minus single digits, just barely for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But again, yeah, it'll be a bit wet on Thursday. Friday, still lingering flurry activity in the first half of the day. Then by the time we get into Saturday, we should see some sunshine, at least it looks like it at this point, and again above 0 for the day. Now, for central Newfoundland, you are looking at some wet weather potentially on Friday, but by Saturday clearing up and a daytime high around 2 degrees. A little cooler for western Newfoundland with some flurries right through Saturday. And then for Labrador, you are looking at some light snow possibly on Friday, Saturday as well, dipping down into the minus single digits and then back into the minus double digits overnight for western Labrador. That is when that cool air will arrive. Now, it was a beautiful weekend, and well, really, Sunday was absolutely gorgeous.
Stunning.
It really was. And this is little Molly enjoying the Sunday in Foxtrap there. Justin shared this shot with me this morning. What a great photo.
Oh, I love it. I bet Molly is having the best time on the beach.
All the smells. Thank you so much for that photo. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Yeah, and you know that we're a sucker for any weather photos that just so happen to have
a dog in them. Or any animal, really.
Any animal or little babies.
That's right.
Yeah.
All the things.
That yoga story earlier was so
sweet. I know. Enjoying it for sure.
Well, that's it for us on this Monday. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.